Coming to us from Michigan, maybe Mr. Michigan himself nowadays. Our featured tour, our person that we are featuring, it is our longest time slot of the day, is Jim Blaine. Jim is over in Michigan. You probably recognize the name. He is the host, a co-host, along with his wife Jody, of the Michigan PEZ Convention. Some fun facts about Jim. Jim's been collecting since 1999, and he's kind of become known as buying out collections of all kinds of stuff. And his largest one was 169,000 different PEZ items, and that was just in February of 2020, which is pretty amazing. Sean Peterson of the PEZ Visitor Center once said to him that he has more PEZ in his house than the PEZ has in their warehouse, which is pretty funny to me. Almost all that PEZ you saw in the PEZ Outlaw movie came from Jim. That was supplied from him. And Jim is just a fun dude to talk to, fun dude to hang around. And I think you're going to get to know him a little bit better today on the VPC. So Jim, I'm gonna pour myself an old fashioned, Jim's favorite drink, also one of my favorite drinks, and we are going to. Oh, it's on his phone. He told me.
But is it Jim's or Jim Blaine or just Jim's? I know you didn't need a spotlight.
Jim, we're trying to figure out which one to spotlight. Probably not this blurry one. Okay, hold on. Technical difficulties. Does it just say Jim's? Is it that one?
Is Jim here?
Hey.
Yeah, okay. It says Jim's.
All right, gotcha.
We see you now.
Hey, there we go.
All right, we got you. You're spotlighted, Jim, so everybody can see you. And
hey, everybody, for having me.
All right, so Jim, it's all you.
Awesome. I love AJ. AJ, that was a blast. I always have a good time when I see you. So let me take you into my PEZ room. I'm gonna switch the camera around here. So this is where it begins. It's in our basement. So if anybody you saw the PEZ Outlaw, it was our third bedroom. Since the movie was made, we actually redid our basement and moved the collection into the basement. So we'll start by the ceiling. This is some of the stuff that usually comes out on PEZ.com. Some of my favorite stuff, and then some of the ad paperwork that I've been in. So this is the Lansing State Journal. And then it's my buddy John Hicks. A lot of you know John Hicks. So for the Michigan PEZ Convention in 2018, we made 6 papers, and John Hicks was on the cover of a lot of those papers. So we actually were able to do a story together. So that was pretty fun. John's a great guy. Here, the dental office in town actually asked if I would do a little promo spotlight, and so I said sure. So we brought some PEZ in and did a promo spotlight. And then this is the cover of my local paper, which I'm always excited to show that meth lab was the other big topic of that story. So a lot of people think that's how I pay for my collection, but that's not true. Over here, candy sheet. This piece was from the movie, The PEZ Outlaw, which we'll talk more about when we go into the basement. So this is in Marco's room in the warehouse, his office. This sits behind the wall. And then this is some of the drawings that were done by one of the artists in the movie that did the movie. And then Less Than Jake. That's a pretty cool record. The Hurleys, they do great work. So I got a couple of their pieces in the hallway. And then this is the Patches.
Are you upset?
You just saw this article. This is actually one of the first reasons I got to meet Steve Glue before we did the movie. I got this in Connecticut, and it was a charity auction piece, and it was signed by the guy who wrote the article. And my goal was to get Steve to sign the same article. So that's kind of why I reached out to Steve in the first place. And then I got it framed. This here, kind of a fun piece. So when they asked me to be a part of the movie, I said, sure, that'd be fun. And they came over and asked if they could borrow a duffel bag worth of Pez and or rent it. And I said, sure, you can rent it for $1. So I wanted them to write a check. So that was the deal. So we got them to write a check for $1. And so that was the July 18th, 2020. I made the first dollar on the movie. That was kind of fun. Marilyn Monroe. And then this is my Gerda Jean corner. Before we get into the room, I'll come down the stairs. So back in 2017, Nita Markoff actually came to the Michigan PEZ Convention, and he brought this amazing gift for me. And so this is Gerda signing. This is the article that ran where she was chosen to be the PEZ girl. And then that was the first time that they used her likeness in an ad piece. And then that's her signing the stuff. And he actually had her sign it to me. So this is probably one of my favorite pieces that I have. This, and then, which you'll see in a minute, I love the skull. So this is her actually signing a skull to me. So this is just, I mean, priceless. It's one of my favorite pieces. My candy vending machine. And then I'll zoom out, and then I have stuff on the ceiling up there. And then this is kind of a cool piece. That's the AMC set, 3D printed one. It's kind of hard to see with the light. But I also have the letter for it too, which is cool. I actually got that at Pezomania from Brian, you know my name. Another great guy in the Pez community. These are some, my dad's a woodworker. So to have some time with my dad, we ended up making some display racks. So there's some of the display racks that we made for the truck. Here's my Misfit Gobo light. One of the agreements that I had with the movie is the director of the movie is I had first right of refusal for all props in the movie. So this is one of the props in the movie that I really liked. So I was able to take that home. So that's the Misfit. When he walks into the scene where Pez has their first big display and Steve sees the display, this gobo is actually lit up behind that display, which is a pretty cool piece. And then I'll just give you a brief overview before we actually take the tour. So this is a 21 by 21 by 9 foot high room that we were actually redid in our basement. So I love display racks. I try to set them to form. So there's a couple display racks with striped cards and stuff. And then starting here with the cabinets, you know, giants up top. You know, this cabinet here actually is probably one of my favorite cabinets just because it's, you know, personal to me. This is all the Michigan PEZ Convention stuff that we've ever designed for the convention. So this was our first year. Some of the stuff is swag stuff that other people have created. You know, and this is our second year. And of course, our third year and fourth. Fourth, probably, I don't know, my favorite year just because I like the skull. So I like the design of the pieces. And then our fifth year. And then we were actually able to make a card. So there was kind of some rules. You had to host the convention for a 5-year host. You had to have a general public show. And then I think you had to have a dedicated website. And then those were able to make dispensers. So what I guess is my favorite part is that we were actually able to design. We were able to pick out the color of the stem, what was written on the stem. It was all the same head, but we got to pick the color of the head. And then I actually got to design the card myself. And they let me put glasses and mustaches on the little dispenser because we do a game night. And the theme for that game night that year was glasses and mustaches. So that was just something a little extra that I enjoyed. Then down the bottom shelf, take a quick peek, but that's for this year. So that's still lots of things in the works. Landon mentioned that buyout that I did of 169,000 pieces. That was out of the Carolinas, had it shipped to my house, literally took up my entire living room, hallway, and still had boxes outside and kitchen. But these were actually in the buyout, and these are actually ad sheets. But what's really cool about these ad sheets is they're 3D printed or 3D. So it's actually 2 ad sheets, I believe, and then they cut out. So let's see if we can maybe see it on the Pinocchio. That's like a side view. So I kept one of every single one. And then, got rid of or sold off some of the extras that I had. But these are pretty cool. These ad sheets are actually, if they weren't cut up, they're about $1,000 ad sheets. So I think they're pretty cool. Steve Glues, of course. Fun fact in the movie, the silhouette guy, the guy mopping when he goes to the end of the factory, I got to be the mopper in that scene. So, and I actually got to call out that scene. So I was talking with the director, and I said, hey, I think it'd be pretty cool if you had like a silhouette of a guy mopping in the background, because the factory's closing. He's like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. And I said, oh yeah, one more thing, I'm a really good mopper. And he's like, you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I spent probably an hour and a half pretending to mop a floor, but it was fun. It was cool just to have that little moment in the movie. And then these are ad sheets of more common type stuff. Moving on, these cabinets here, these are mainly common type PEZ dispensers, except for there's some Japanese minis, and I won't go into too much detail of these cabinets, but and then here is my thin foot skulls. So I will show you my skull army in a little bit, but those are the thin ones that I have. And then here are obviously more giants up top. And then these are more what I consider common type PEZ dispensers. Over here, you got your sports, funky faces, turtles, and then Jody's favorite. Jody collects red hooded ETs. That's probably her favorite one. She actually got that from Yvonne Chadwick after Mike had passed, and we didn't know it, but when we got it, the eyes on it, I don't know if you can see it, are black, and all the other eyes are blue. It was a cool piece, and it's a great reminder of an amazing person. So that sits in her collection next to his rubber fan thing. This is the first time I actually went and saw Steve, and he donated one of the bags to the Michigan PEZ Convention for charity. And then that's the one that I actually got to, he actually gave one to me for my collection. This is another piece that was in the movie. There was actually 2 of these. So what we did is I kept one and then framed a second one exactly like it. And then we donated it to the Michigan PEZ Convention charity. And then this piece here, I was just playing around with, custom stuff. But then this was on set, and we grabbed it real quick, and it's signed. But in the movie, at the end of the movie, a little boy actually goes up and gets it signed from Steve. While I sit on the couch. That's actually my son. So that's kind of a cool piece for me, just because it's my little boy. Not little anymore. Now he's 14, going out for football. This is one of my Holy Grail pieces. These are hard to come across, these big teddy bears. I was able to pick that up at PEZ on the River from my good buddy Zelmer. Always a cool piece. These came through Canada. I think they got the no-no on it. So a lot of them don't exist, but in Detroit area, since we're right close to the border, they pop up in Michigan every so often. I've seen them go for a lot of money. I actually was able to pick this one out for like $20 because it was in a guy's basement, and he had like a beer type theme, and he was they were moving or redoing their basement. So yeah, that was a pretty good pickup for $20. These are called upside down Christmas trees. You can get them on Amazon. They just screw into your ceiling. They work great for PEZ ornaments. Oh, I think that's pretty cool. And now this is my wife's Funko Pop collection. So one of the agreements we had is, you know, if we were going to put this big room in the basement, that we'd have a space for her Funkos as well. So she's big into it. And then Deadpool is actually probably her favorite. So these are all her Deadpool pops. How we doing on time, Landon?
We're real worried.
Pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Let me.
Good.
You keep going. I'll let you know exactly where we're at here in a second.
Perfect. So there's another display. This is my vending machine. Probably one of my favorite pieces. And then that's how I display a lot of my pins, my lapel pins. That's actually a PEZ hammock. And just easier to put them all up on there. Got this on a buyout. I thought it was pretty cool. It's actually made out of metal. So put that up there. And then up here on the ceiling, one of the things I like to do for the Michigan PEZ Convention is we do these small banners. And every year we have everybody sign the banner. And then we auction one off for charity. And then I actually keep one for my collection. Probably one of my favorite things, just to see, you know, just the growth of Michigan. I think our first year we had 30 something people, you know, and then this year we have like 130 people registered. You know, so just to see the more names on there and just meeting a lot of you guys that come, it's a great time. We really have a good time putting it on. This is probably one of my favorite things cases. So I got the high heels. I don't know anyone who knows Corey Stevens. Corey Stevens is actually a PEZ collector out of Wisconsin. He actually owns the abandoned haunted house complex. So actually in October, we're putting a gathering together. So you can go to the Michigan PEZ Convention page to see more about that. But that's a pin from his haunt. He's got 3 haunts out there, and it's cool. He's a great guy. So you know, that was donated to Pezmania last year. That's a Mike Chadwick, the legacy basket for Mike. I was able just to get that piece and keep it just the way it was. So those of you who've never met Mike, Mike was an awesome man, good friend, great friend to all. So it's a cool piece. It's probably one of my favorite pieces. Here are some original tins, knife. And then this piece here, the jewelry store in town, they put it up on free on Marketplace. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And then me and my neighbor, this is the heaviest thing I've ever listed in my life. But we were able to get in the basement. He was on the bottom, and but he's a lot stronger of a person than I am. These are the actual shooter guns that are in the movie. So when you see the movie and it has the picture of the 3 shooter guns, these are the 3 shooter guns that was from the movie. So these are just my shooters. Just a couple trinkety things. As movies. That's the original copy. That was also part of the deal, is that we were able to show the movie at Michigan before it got released. So that was the original copy that I had. We were able to show the movie at Michigan, which was kind of cool.
Jim, you have about 10 minutes right now.
10 minutes. Okay, we're going to speed it up because we got a lot more to show. This here is some of my vintage. This here is my Army. So currently I have 3,463 just of the 4.9 skulls. So in the bottom there are a bunch of glow in the dark ones in there, and then some no foots. Those aren't counted in the collection. It's just the 4.9 regular ones. A couple more stand-up displays. Here's some fantasy stuff. These are some flowers I just made. Different movie pieces, different candy items, more different candy, more candy. Those are some resin pieces, some fantasy pieces, one of my favorite sets is my Andy Warhol looking Flintstones that my wife painted for me. And then these two, my son, when he was younger, he painted those for me. Umbrella. Finale probably makes some of my favorite fantasy pieces. That's a pretty cool piece. Some more fantasy stuff. Heading over here. This is all car related. This is some of my favorite vintage pieces. Some more trinkety stuff, puzzles. More heads displayed. Another cabinet of favorite things. I like the oddity stuff. So, there's some golf stuff there. Cookie jar. Also love the eyewear displays. So here's some eyewear stuff. Skateboards. Fun fact, the skateboard on the top is the only one that PEZ made. The rest are considered knockoff, I guess. But it's some cool art. Ceiling has stuff, of course. This was in the movie as well. This piece here, when you walk into that scene, that is where the gobo's behind it. And the first time that you're seeing those misfits, after that scene was done, we actually took it apart. And then I had everybody who was there, all the extras in the movie, signed it. And then we put it up on the ceiling. Hearts, I'm always hunting for completing the heart sets. And then these are my Pop PEZ. Fun fact, this cabinet came from a cell phone store locally. I paid $50 for the cabinets, but they light up from behind and they slide in here like perfectly. This stuff here is just stuff I'm getting ready for PEZmania already, trying to get a jump on it. With planning in Michigan, I don't really get a ton of time, so I'd like to get things done early. T-shirts. So these are all different t-shirts from different conventions. So when I get shirts, I wear a couple of them. I like to wear the Michigan ones, of course, but there's so many cool ones. This is my most recent one. Shout out to Bob and Faye. Great people. This is where I put all my tins. This is some fantasy stuff that people have done in the community. So there's some really phenomenal artists out there. This is Japanese stuff and watches. And then that's signed by Corey Feldman. I'm big into collecting paper, just because I think paper tells a story. I thank John Devlin for that. This paper has a lot of I guess truth to collecting. It's not wrong if it's on paper, kind of how I feel. But I love the stand-up displays. So at my local store, local Meijer, when I go in there, I was like, oh, got another one for you. So, and 2 box sets. And then this is just another cabinet of some vintage, some test pieces, some more rare, harder to find stuff. There's my one Colgate. I have had Colgate a couple times, but I don't collect it like duplicates of it, so I sell it or trade it if I get more. This cabinet here is all convention. So it's all different convention. I try to keep them, like this is one-day gatherings, international, one day, and then, PEZ on the River, national convention. And then these are all over here is American conventions. These are all international conventions. And then these I stored like different candy packs. So when a lot of non-collectors come in the room, I love to show them all the different kinds of candy because a lot of people don't realize like how much stuff there actually is a PEZ. Here's some fantasy. How are we doing on time?
About Yeah, we can do 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, then we'll lead to this. So here's some more candy displays that my dad and I made. And then all these candy packs are different. This is kind of one of my favorite rooms. Like I've had a lot of media in the room. They love, all the colors and stuff. So what's great for the Michigan PEZ Convention, we never have to pay to advertise because, we just invite them over and then we talk about the convention when we walk through. And then this room here is a magnetic door. We bought this house. I think this guy wanted to do like a woodworking room in here. So he put a heavy metal door on it. Works great for magnets. And this is my PEZ warehouse. So it's a little insane. But I'm very particular on how I store my extras. So when I do a buyout, I have my nice comfy chair and I come down here and I put them all in the bins. So on the bins, if you see My Little Pony, Nintendo, Pirates of the Caribbean, I fill up these bins and then I do two things with them. One, the racks behind are all done in sets. And there's more sets. And then these are giants. And then everything's racks in front of racks. But I'd like to keep it very well organized and everything's on wheels. So if I need to get to things, for example, these are two trucks back here. Those are all extra pop Pez. My thought process is if you look at pops, some of the pops that have the high end value were some of the first original pops that came out. So I doubled up on the pops and did a lot of buyouts and have, pop Pez. And that's just something that a couple years down the line, maybe some new collectors will be looking for them and I'll be able to help them out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is all turtles. There's different turtles with tabs, versus no tab. Tins. Paperwork. So in that buyout, a lot of this stuff was in that buyout. This is all brand new, never used. This is all considered old stock. So those are all header cards. These are all actual backer cards, but no glue marks. Those are brand new. Never been used. Great for people who collect paper. For example, here you have Star Wars. So those boxes are filled with Star Wars cards. There's probably, I'd say 2,000, quantity, 2,375. So each box of those has 2,375 just of those cards, brand new. And then there's some cards that they do hole punches in. So there you go. So I believe in that corner, it either said like 89 cents. And then they actually were planning on using the cards. So what they did is they hole punched that little price out so they could raise the price. So it's kind of a cool card. You don't see it often, but. And I keep everything. You never know who's going to collect what. For example, all the inserts, these are all different inserts. So this is different colored inserts. I keep, inserts like these. Once in a while, I have a lot of collectors. I have a lot of people contact me that aren't in the PEZ community, and then they're looking for this kind of stuff. So it's fun to collect. Back there, more fuzzy keychains and stuff. I try to be very organized. I'm, like this stuff here. This is just stuff I still need to go through. Try to find a place for it. Try and decide what to bring for the convention. Again, more minis, stuff like this is different candies, more parts, some paperwork, Hulk masks. This is the other way that I organize. So when the bins get full, they either go into sets or they get bagged individually or bagged in sets of 6. So these are usually, I'm pretty good at keeping them organized. So these are all Duck Childs, all Garfield, all Bob the Builder, Looney Tunes, and so on and so forth. All box sets in the back there. And then obviously more, holiday and that kind of stuff. This is a rack I'm getting ready for Pezmania. Just putting smaller things in. So yeah, this is my so this is actually considered warehouse 1. Probably don't have enough time to go to warehouse 2, but in warehouse 2 I have most of my bulk stuff. So it's all individual plastic milk crates filled with a bag, and there's probably like 500 to 1,000 Pez dispensers per bag. There's probably 60 different bags up there. That's upstairs in my garage. I just kind of ran out of room. I try to stay organized, but other than that, I'll flip it around and
Yeah, I
answer
think
any
that's about
questions
all.
if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I think that was about all the time we had. So if there was anything else you needed to show us, Jim, then that would
Um,
be
No, other than that, I hope everybody
Okay.
enjoyed the tour. Thanks for checking it
Why
out.
don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us when Michigan is and where they can register?
Absolutely. Michigan PEZ Convention is going to be in June. You can register at mipezcon.com. We have about 130 people, 34 dealers, 32 dealers. We got a good turnout. We're going to be in Farmington Hills. Love having new people. I think we have about 36 new people registered who've never been to Michigan before. So really excited about doing an awesome convention, and looking forward to seeing a lot of you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Jim's on Facebook. Jim is very responsive and very knowledgeable guy. So spend some time chatting with him and get to know. And if you get a chance, go over to Michigan PEZ Convention. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to hang out. So
Thanks.
thanks again, Jim.
Absolutely. My pleasure.